I'm always forgetting that I don't need to have my tea right away for the 1 month palette review. Don't know why that is. So hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is my Kiss Today Hello coffee mug. Picked this up from Walmart, I believe, a little while back. Haven't used it in a bit. It's nice and pink, really tall, and hopefully not too much for our tea, which is our traditional Medicinals organic red clover. This was from a Sips by box, so probably, well, we'll see if she's doing fine. I do think she's probably pretty close to 12 ounces, so we'll see how that works. Really like my mug. Really like my mug. Anyway, we're going to give this a sip and go ahead and get started. Ignore my Gambit in the background. He wants out. He's not allowed out, but he wants out. Let's give her a sip. She did fine. She did fine. Now, to be fair, it has been sitting here for at least 30 minutes because I keep forgetting that I do my makeup section first for the 1 month palette, so I don't need this right away. And so it got to sit there while I did my makeup, and so yeah, it got to steep for quite a while. It's probably not going to change much over the time of the rest of the video. And I did have to put it in the microwave too, so that probably helped. I do think I added just a little bit too much sugar. But a good tea. Good tea. That's the last of my bags for the red clover too, which is one of the ones I really liked. Not enough to purchase it, but I really liked it. Today we are reviewing our 1 month palette for the month of August, and that palette was the Kalon Kosmetics Achelois Goddess Collection Volume 1. I love the packaging. It is absolutely gorgeous. Just absolutely beautiful. Very sturdy cardboard. It does have a mirror in it. I think my only complaint was that there was just, when you consider the size of the pans and everything, there's just a lot of excess. There's a lot of excess room. There's a lot of excess packaging. Someone did point out that the palette is recyclable, but I still find it to be a little, yeah, just a little much on the packaging still. I do like the palette itself. I do like the packaging design and stuff like that. I just think they could have done better in terms of making it a little more compact, which would be fine with me. It does come with a mirror. It's a decent mirror. Hello, me. And here are our colors. It is still available. It is $38, and I believe 10% of your purchase, or something like that, 20%? 10%, something like that, goes to the Autoimmune Disorders Association. So it goes to a charity, which is really nice. I apologize for the lighting. It is overcast today, so we're going to be fitzing around with this. Hopefully it won't be too bad for the rest of the video. Overall, I think the colors really work well together. I did have a couple complaints, but they didn't actually pertain so much to the shades that are here as so much as shades that I felt were missing. For me, I like to have a light color under the brow. The only light color I really have is this one. I can mix this one. I did mix this with, this is Lunar. I did mix that with Oracle for under my brow today. So it is a good mixer, but like the silver comes up more gray on my skin, and most of the other colors are either too bright or too dark. This would be too bright to put under my brow. I could mix it with this. However, I have found that this shade has its issues a little bit. But overall, I think the colors fit. You know, it's a goddess collection. From the packaging itself, you can tell it's more like in terms of natural type colors for the most part. So we have our browns, and we have a couple greens and blues, and then we have some other things in here, the gold and the silver. I think they all work, especially when you consider that most of these colors are very dark, and the ones that are lighter do fit in with, in general, with the rest of the collection. Even our one color here that you could almost say doesn't quite fit the collection is almost could be seen kind of as a lighter of the bronzy gold we have down here. So overall, I think the color selection is, the color story is nice. I just would have liked to see something like a lighter, an even lighter purple, or I don't know, just something else on the lighter end, more towards this kind of lightness, you know, lighter than this kind of color, so that I would have more options for under the brow without having to mix too much if I didn't want to. Most of my looks, I think I ended up either using this or using this mixed with something. So that would be my only complaint, was that I just really felt it was missing something just to work, have an option for a lighter shade under the brow or whatever. That one light shade is pretty, but you know, you want to be able to have something else to work around with. And like I said, the silver is pretty, but it comes up more gray on my skin, on my eyes. It does have a nice sheen to it, but it's not a true silver for me. The quality is really nice. There is some kickback, there is some fallout, but it is not that bad. And most of the shades I find blend and work very well. The only color that I really had any issues with was this color Siren. It doesn't seem to pick up as well as some of the other colors for me anyway. Even Oracle was can be a bit touchy, but it does pick up. You can see it. And with Siren, sometimes I had to struggle with it. Today I struggled with it a little bit, but I was mixing it with Soothe, and you just couldn't really see it coming in. It feels a little harder than some of the other shades. Oracle feels a little harder than some of the other shades. Now, I did not use oak, and I don't believe I used eucalyptus at all during this time. I did use most of the other colors. So let's go ahead and swatch, and then I'll show you some looks and things. So first we have oak, wisteria, ivy, and chime. So oak, wisteria, ivy, and chime. As you can see, ivy is one of those murky colors. Wisteria needs to be built a little bit. She's more of a grayish kind of purple, but she can be built up. She does show up when I use her for deepening my crease. Next we have Silver Fox, Healer, Divine, and Siren. Siren is very dry and stiff. I'm having to put my finger in here 3 or 4 times to pick up some color on my finger. So we have Silver Fox, Healer, Divine, and Siren. As you can see, my Siren has some issues. Siren, I'm hoping that it didn't come out that way for everybody, but for me, she just seems to be a bit on the problematic side. So I just cleaned up the top. Let's see if we can get Siren to come up a little better. No, I don't think it's going to come up a little better. Well, yeah. So Siren is an issue, as you can see. Siren is a problem. Divine is interesting in that I put her on my eye today for the look that we will be demoing. And initially, next to this on my eye, she came across a bit brown. But when I had to do, when I packed it on a little bit later, she came up a bit more red. So she's a real interesting color. She doesn't appear to have a duochrome in her, so I think what it is just putting her next to a brown shade makes it look more brown. So what's interesting is I can't get Siren up, but I also end up with her stuck on my finger, so go figure. So next we have Lunar, Oracle, Eucalyptus, and Soothe. So Lunar, Oracle, Eucalyptus, and Soothe. So overall, as you can see from the swatches, there are some shades that work better than others. There's a bit of an inconsistency, but I can get most of them to actually work. The only one I'm having trouble with is Siren. to be honest. But the other shades, I used a lot of them today. I did attempt to use Siren. I used Lunar with mixed with Oracle. I used Healer today. I used Divine. I used Soothe. And I used a little bit of Wisteria in my crease. So overall, she's, I think she's a good quality. I think, as you can see, it takes a little bit for them to come off. This is with a damp rag. It's not as, doesn't say as strong as a lot of palettes that I've owned. However, all that said, that was swatches on my arms and not working on my face. The only one of these that seems to come across fairly close to what it is on my arm is Siren. Like I said, I struggled with her today. The rest of these I have found, the shimmers, not the mattes, but the shimmers can tolerate, withstand. They stay on my eyes fairly well. And even if they do fade or disappear or I have issues, they repair really well. They still stay fairly decently. These are on here now. This is a repaired, I did have to do some repair, but as you can see on my inner corners, it is there. Anything going on underneath has nothing to do with my eyeshadow. I've even got that little bit of silver right in here that seems to be sticking around, which is unusual for me for a lot of inner corner type stuff. My eyes just are a mess. It's just a mess, I'm sorry. So overall, they do really seem to work really well for my eyes and my eye issues. It is a bit chunky, but the way it is set up and with the strength of the magnet holding it closed, I do think I could travel with this if I wanted to take it with me to repair a look later. So it's got that going for it. It's very sturdy cardboard. I'm not worried about anything breaking. I'm not worried about, I wouldn't be worried about any of the shadows cracking or coming loose or anything of that nature. So I think I could travel with this. I do have a larger purse backpack type thing that works really well. And this would fit in that. It just is not what we would technically call a travel size palette. Did have trouble reaching for it, however, because, like I said, I do believe the colors work together. I just think we need something lighter. We needed something. I needed something for me. They're beautiful colors. This is a good support palette. It has some gorgeous dark colors. I mixed it with some other palettes that had some great colors that really melded well with it. But by itself, the looks are primarily going to be very dark, unfortunately. And they have beautiful color. They can give you drama. They can give you smoky. But for me, I'm more into the brighter colors. Love color, but I would like to have seen them brighter. Just with a little bit more, yeah, brightness is the only thing I can say. So it was a little difficult for me to reach for it this month. Not impossible, but I ended up not reaching for it as much as I thought I would. Gonna keep it. Do like it. Do think it's a good palette. Just, I think it's, for me, it's a mixer palette, essentially. So let's take a look at some of the looks I created with this palette. So this first look was a kind of a play on working with the purples in the palette. You can also see a little bit of the healer in there, just a touch. And this was actually mixed with the Moods palette that I own. Probably picked up just the lighter purple and stuff like that to brighten up the eye, because the purple in the Moods palette does show up, you know, like most purples, it shows up much lighter than it is in the pan. And these purples, well, this one up here is very light, but it is more of a plummy color, and this one down here is a very dark purple. So I wanted some, and neither one of them are really what you would consider bright. So I used the purple from the Moods palette to kind of get some brightness in the eye. And I do believe I used a little bit of a green in there as well. But anyway, here is that look. So this next look was a mix of the Achelois with the Hip Dot Zion palette. The Zion palette has more reds, oranges, kind of golds. I don't remember if it actually has a gold itself. There is a little bit of purple in there that was from the Achelois palette, and I do believe some of the lighter, I believe the under eye comes from the Achelois palette. But again, it worked well because it's mixed with another palette to give a little more brightness to the looks. These looks that just are the Achelois tend to come out very dark. This one is entirely the Achelois, and I think you can see that even though I have that gold in there, that bronzy gold, the overall look is very dark. And this was an issue I had with trying to come with any looks with this palette, in that everything was very difficult to brighten up a bit. And I like brighter colors because of the glasses. It's easier to see. I do want murky colors, but I don't necessarily want the colors to be dark, even though I'm more interested in murky colors nowadays. I think the Hip Dot palette gave the Achelois in this particular look just a bit more oomph, a bit more brightness, a bit more, a bit more of a pop. Just something to lighten up the darker tones of the Achelois is what I think made it really work. The next one is another Moods palette combination. This one, I believe, relied more heavily on the Moods palette because of the greens in it. The greens in here are too dark for this, but I did probably use a little bit of this and the Soothe and Wisteria to get some of the darker colors that you can see in here. But the green definitely came from the Moods palette. Again, I think it's a beautiful look, but without that green, I think it would have been a darker, duller look, because the greens in here are just too dark and don't really give any pop or oomph to. That's what this, I think, really needed, was something to give it a bit more oomph. I mean, we got this light blue, the Siren, but the Siren wasn't working for me, and there's only so much I felt I could do with the gold, and the silver comes off as gray. So I really think it just needed something a little lighter in it. That's all. And with the amount of space they had in here, they could probably have added 3 more shades and made them on the lighter end, or on the medium end even. But that's what this next look was. And finally, the most neutral look that I managed to make. This is the Achelois with the ABH. I will be honest, it mostly relied on the ABH, with the Achelois for some of the darker shading. Not a look that I would wear very often. I would say from the lip that I was actually aiming for something with a bit more purple, and the purples didn't really show up as well as I'd hoped. But here is that look. So overall, I think my biggest problem with the palette was how dark the shades were for the most part, and the fact that at least one of the lighter shades just didn't, well, 2 of the lighter shades didn't work for me in the way that I'd hoped. It's kind of disappointing that the color that would speak to me the most is the color I had the most issue with. But anyway, so if you want to see how I got this look, which honestly I think came out really interesting. You do see a little bit of the Siren on the inner corner, and I will show you how that's done. I do like the look. It's not one I would wear a lot. If you're interested in trying to get this look, here it is right now. Alrighty, so we're going to get started, and what I'm going to do is I am going to mix Lunar and Oracle for under my brow. Our fairy has some very light bluish gray type colors going on in there, lavender gray. I'm not going to put gray underneath my brow, so we're going to try mixing these 2 colors and see if we can get a really nice lighter, almost violet color under there. Violet, not violent. So we're going to take a little bit of Lunar, grab a little bit of Oracle. So I'm going to start close to my crease just in case we are too dark. And then move up. So we are getting that lighter purpley shade. These colors do blend well. Gonna grab a bit more of Lunar and start at the brow and work down. Just to lighten that up a bit. So I like to keep it light under the brow to give the rest of the eye a bit of a pop. It helps to make it, since my eyes are slightly hooded, it helps make it so that you can see the rest of the eye. That's what I talk about, using my entire real estate. But the color is there. It's just nice and light the way I like it. I'm looking at our fairy and I'm realizing one of the reasons I'm having so much trouble with this palette is I keep thinking of my inspiration image, and she ain't got a lot of color going on. So that's yeah, it's a little unusual for me. It works for this particular palette, but you know, it's yeah, she ain't got a lot of color going on. So I think I'm going to go from Healer on my inner corner to Divine on the outer corner. Divine strikes me as a little bit too dark just to do across the entire eye. I like some light on my inner corner. I'm using my Ipsy brushes today. So we're grabbing some Healer, and we're going to put her on the inner corner. And I'm going to take it, I think I'm going to take it 2/3 of the way across, so it's going to go completely across my eye. I don't know what we got going on outside, but it's noisy out there. Oh, I know what it is. I think it's our trash man. Our trash truck is in. It's actually very pretty. And now we're going to grab some of that color Divine and put that on the outer corner. As you can see, all of these colors are fairly dark. Not murky, dark. They're colorful, but they're dark. And I took that just a little bit across my lid. I might add a bit more of Healer across that to blend those two colors a little better. So two things to notice. One, we are getting fallout. It's not horrible, but it is there. Also, the Divine, it doesn't come up nearly as red on the eye. It actually comes across kind of brown, which, you know, it may be because it's next to Healer on the eye. And I can darken her up some. I'm going to take some more of Healer and put it across the top. Lighten that up a bit. Which is hard to do with this palette, lightening anything up. But we're going to be blending those colors. I want those colors to blend on the lid, so it's a smooth transition from one to the other. And as you can see, the fallout does tend to stick, so I'm going to have to cover that up. I'm going to very quickly blend the three sections I have right now. And now we have my fridge in the background. So anyway, we are going to ignore the fact that the fridge is really freaking loud. And I am now going to mix Siren with Soothe. She has a little bit of blue along the upper edge of her wings. It looks like it's on the darker side, but it has a brightness to it. So these colors won't really match that, but they will represent it well, I think. We'll start with Soothe, and then we'll go over it with Siren. Going in the crease, and as usual going up. You can see Soothe is a beautiful color. She's a nice deep, but she blends really well. Let's get the other side very quickly. And now I'm going to take Siren and I'm going to go over Soothe. Try to give her a little bit of brightness. Just a little bit. Which she is not doing. Not as much as I'd hoped. Soothe is still looking more on the gray side. That'll work though. So in the process of doing this, I've actually taken Siren all the way into my corner. I think I like the effect. We'll know when we finish her up. I'm going to put this color Wisteria in the crease. Deepen that up. Come out just a little bit on the end here. Go a bit under the corner. You know, about a quarter of the way maybe. Go out a little bit. I'm going to grab a bit more of Healer and I'm going to put that across the eye. We've gotten a little, I want to brighten up right near the crease. I'm not going up above the crease, but we had some of those colors come down a little far and muddy this up. So I'm going to pack that a bit on top, brighten that up a bit. I'm going to mix that Oracle again with Silver Fox and see if we can get a nice under eye color thing, under eye line. So grabbing a bit of Oracle, adding just a little bit of Silver Fox, and going under the eye. Okay, so that's light. It's very light. So let's start with just Oracle. Get some Oracle in there. Try to get her to show up. She's showing. Takes a little bit, but she's showing. And then grab some of the Silver Fox and start at the corner of the eye and move out a little bit. Give her a little bit of shim. Just a little bit. Should really graze that out. So I'm going to grab some of Soothe and I'm going to put that on the outer edge here. Try to blend those a bit. I'm looking a little messy, but we'll clean it up. Okay, and now I'm just going to go ahead and clean up a bit. I think I do like the fact that the blue came all the way in. Alrighty, so we've cleaned up. I think we're done with the eyes. I do think I like this coming in the way it did. But now I'm going to go finish the rest of my face and we'll be back with the final look. So a few notes from what you saw and how I put it together. I did add the color, the silver color, Silver Fox to the inner corner. It's starting to fade a bit now. Just a little bit. And I'm having issues with some of the shadows migrating, but I am not blaming the shadows for that. I'm blaming my eyes. My eyes, once they get going, everything just starts to fall apart and disappear. Overall, yeah, let's get through this. I'm sorry. I didn't take many notes with this. Like I said, she was really difficult for me to pick up, and a lot of that had to do with the color story being so dark. I like the colors. I just think I would have been, if I just wanted something with a little bit more oomph. I love this ivy down here, but this color eucalyptus, while it suits it, I think could have been a bit brighter or something. It comes across almost gray, and like I said, my Siren just doesn't seem to work very well. I'm gonna keep playing with it and see what I can do. But so I had some issues. This is a palette I would recommend that you buy if it's a color story that you really, really like, because most of the shadows work just fine. Most of them work just fine. The only one I'm having real issues with is Siren. And the only other issue I'm having is that it's so dark. So if you're into dark palettes, if you like darker colors, I think that this would really work for you. But if you're into lighter colors, or you need something with a bit more oomph and brightness to it, this would not be the palette for you, I don't think. The colors just, even the goldy, bronzy gold is on the darker side of that spectrum rather than being a really bright bronzy gold. So that is like I said, my biggest complaint. My second complaint being the Siren isn't working. But that all said, the quality is good. The fallout and kickback isn't all that great. The ones that do work blend well and blend into each other fairly well and work together very well. The color story is pretty cohesive for the most part. So overall, I think it's a good palette. I do think it might be slightly overpriced, but considering that you'd be giving some to a charity, that's not a big issue for me, I don't think. Yeah, I think I can work with that. I think that that is a reasonable expectation, a reasonable hike, I guess, so that they can go ahead and give some to charity. But other than that, I think I would probably take, it's 38. I'd probably put it closer to 30 under normal if we weren't doing the charity thing. I'm going to keep it. I'll probably continue to use it as a support palette. I don't think it'll be a favorite. I don't think I'll be reaching for it a whole heck of a lot. Like I said, it was really rough to reach for it through this month. I do think that it worked really well with our Amy Brown image with the purples and, the purples and the red. And then we've got the lighter and the darker of the gold cast, and this color Soothe can be lightened up a bit. So I think it did work. The only thing that really wasn't in here was the black. The brown could be made more red if you want to, for the deeper shades in there. So that is it for the Achelois palette, and I hope my lovely rambling way of trying to give you information on it worked. Our next palette is going to be one that I've already mentioned, and that is the Hip Dot Zion. As I noted, this one has a lot of reds, a couple of purples, some oranges, not a true gold in there at all, but it's a beautiful palette, and I am looking forward to playing with it. This is, you'll see from the image when I show you next month, that this is sort of the, we are getting into fall kind of thing, and so this is the perfect palette for that. That is it for today, and if you like what you've seen, I don't blame you if you don't. Because I barely got through this, I think. I was just kind of mumbling along. So as I was saying, that's it for the day, and I hope you like what you've seen. And if you do like what you've seen, I hope that you will subscribe. If you do subscribe, please hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. I currently upload 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But we do have bonus videos go up every once in a while. So to know when those are up, you need to hit that bell if you're interested. If you're part of my notification squad, I am so sorry. I'm not usually this bad, and I apologize that it's been. But you'll want to check your subscription and your bell to make sure they're both still active. And if you choose not to subscribe, well, you know what? I would so understand after today. I don't know. But anyway, we do hope you'll be back because we love having the company. And if you do come back again, please don't forget to bring your cup of tea or milk or cider. We're going into fall. Your pumpkin spice latte. Whatever you want to bring, whatever makes you happy while you're watching, we can all sip our drinks together, whatever drink that may be. Alrighty, so I doubt that this has gotten any stronger. She's cooled off just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and give her a sip. Okay, she did get just a little bit stronger, but I suspect that's more the effect of it cooling off than the tea actually steeping for more strength, if that makes sense. Sometimes a tea, as you all know, you've seen me on here do it enough, a lot of times a tea will, somehow the flavor will be just much better, much stronger, just that more evident, I guess, when the tea is more warm rather than hot. And I think that's what's going on with our red clover, because the red clover tea is actually a rather mild tea. It's a very, it's on the border of delicate. It's not quite as delicate as, say, a white tea or something of that nature where the flavor is just very muted, but it is not as strong as, say, a peppermint or a chocolate or an Earl Grey. It just does, it's somewhere in the middle there. It's on the borderline of pretty mild in terms of flavor. So I think the cooling off really helps it. And she's still a good tea. Anyway, that's it. I know you're all breathing a sigh of relief if you made it this far. So thank you for coming on by. I really do appreciate it. You all have a great day.